Welcome to Real Talk with Miss Brenda. I'm Miss Brenda, and today I'm so excited. I have Leslie Drake, the pastor of Love Lady, here with me today. I come from an old kind of school. I don't know what this is about, but I believe that we need a man pastor. And sometimes I want to strangle my man pastor, but I love him so much. Oh, I love him so much. And, gosh, Leslie, how long have you been with me?
We've just passed 13 years. August 8th of 2011 is when I started. So it's just been 13 years.
13 years.
13
so
years.
I limped along for 7 years without you.
I don't know how you did it without me.
Let me remember the good old days. Let's see. Oh, yeah, I remember I didn't have anybody telling me, you got to do podcasts, Miss Brenda.
And what a blessing it is. I'm so glad that we're here to do this today. It's just, but, when I think about, you remember how I came to the Love Lady Center? It was because my mother needed help. And it was in 2008 that I knew somebody that worked on the, it might have been Melinda, because I was going to church over at Cahaba Christian with Pastor Michael.
Well, I was too.
And you were there too, but I didn't know y'all. But Melinda told me that she had known us vaguely because she was keeping the kids in the child care.
You know what? I'm wrong. By then, I wasn't going to church there because I had to do church every Sunday night, every Wednesday.
I know.
Devotion every single morning.
And teach class.
And teach class.
I don't know.
And revamp an entire center.
And
no
raise
wonder,
money.
Huh?
And raise money.
No wonder I'm looking old for my age.
Oh, my goodness.
I'm only 30.
Miss Brenda, in helping my mom, and being able to get her into the program, that brought me over to the center. And when I walked into that place, there was just something about it that just was heavenly, and it helped restore my mother and I's relationship that had been broken for over 30 years. And so I just fell in love with the place from the very moment that I stepped in. And the rest is history. I had no idea that in the years later that I would be a part of the team and being there to see what God does every day at the center.
I'm trying to remember exactly what it was like 13 years ago, and I don't remember. I don't remember it. It just all goes together. It's one big. It seems like yesterday it started. It's hard for me to believe that it's 20 years. And the longest anybody ever gave me was 6 months, and they were stretching. And it's been 20 years that the Lord has built this.
He really has. He's been faithful to us, to see us through so many things. And, from my portion, when I began, just to hear the ladies, how you had walked with them and been with them through so many different situations, how you pull people off the streets and, went after some of those ladies that you dealt with. And I got to see some of that firsthand. But then,
now I must tell you, Leslie is a Winnie. He's not one to go into the drug houses and pull women out.
No, I'll
he
leave
may
that.
wait in the car for me.
I will be honest with you. There are some things that you brought to the table, and it's just part of the fabric of the Love Lady Center. And one of the things I love is, to pray and intercede. And I'd heard some stories about some of the tough times in the early days, and maybe, that you would call like an all-night prayer meeting, and you would bring your bed into the chapel and pray and call the ladies to do that. We've had some, late night prayers, but we haven't had those overnight prayers like you did in the beginning.
Well, I'm going to tell you what I did. I took a mattress into the chapel, and I laid it under the cross. And I said, I'm not leaving until you help me. But one thing I always did, I brought me some snacks, so I was not one to just lay there and fast all night. I'd bring me some juice or water or something.
Right.
But I would pray for a couple of days, 3 days, and I would stay in that chapel, not go out. And I'd be saying, I am really getting tired, Lord. I need a breakthrough here.
Yeah.
And sure enough, we get it.
It's amazing. And I think that the foundation's been laid, and we're just seeing God continue to move in the, just continue to change lives. But I know one of the things that's been one of my greatest burdens is to protect and preserve the vision that God placed in your heart many years ago for the Love Lady Center. So always keep Him first and to always trust Him. It's been an honor to serve the mission and to fight for that, because you and I both know that the only one that really can change lives
is Him.
Is Him.
Sometimes people think I'm flippant or lie about something, and I'm not really. It's just that God made me. He formed me, and I do not take myself too seriously. I just am not cut out that way.
Yeah.
I want everybody to always know I'm just a woman who chases God.
Yeah.
And I'm not going to let that ever change. I love Him with every fiber of my being. And I don't want that to ever change. So I'm not being flippant. I really didn't take snacks, probably. I was so scared, I probably just laid in there and wouldn't come out. I probably wouldn't come out because I didn't want to face anybody saying, you fixing to have to leave, sister. If God doesn't do something, you out of here along with me. And I tell God, I said, I'll be the last one to leave.
Yeah.
And then, God has sent some strange people my way. And
Yes.
You're not one of the strangers. You're just one of the different kind.
Well, I have felt right at home all along. You got to meet my grandfather.
Well, now, your grandfather was I didn't know he was your grandfather because I don't remember knowing you.
That's right.
But your grandfather would come, and he would sit in the chapel, and he would prophesy to me. And I just loved listening to him.
Yeah.
And I loved him. How old was he?
He was, he passed in 2010. So he would have probably been in his late 70s, probably about 78 when he started coming up to the center. And I know that he came up there not shortly after my mom came in 2008. And so he was really my spiritual father. He was the one that, that mentored me for about 2 decades. And he really was a genuine man of God. And he just, knowing my grandfather, and then also, I got to know your spiritual father, Joe Medina, and there was a lot of similarities in those men of God.
Joe Medina has been my mentor for 30-something years. And he means so much to me.
Yeah.
I love him.
Yeah.
And he's just Yeah,
Yeah, I
he's
know
my
that's
mentor.
yeah, that's exactly how I feel about Pawpaw, and it was
There's no words to describe your real feeling when you have, my daddy.
yeah,
I loved my daddy. I was a daddy's girl, and Joe Medina became. I didn't have a daddy anymore, and he became like a father
yeah,
to me. And he would put up with all my quirky ways, and he would he'd call me out, and nobody calls me out a whole lot,
right.
because I'm Miss Brenda, and he will call me out this very day.
Yes, he would.
I mean, yes, sir, yes, sir. He gets my attention.
I've been in the office a few times when his phone rang, and you would spring right up.
Yeah, there's one
Everybody
call
get out.
I answer no matter what, and
Yeah.
that's Joe Medina.
He's still living.
Yes,
Oh my goodness.
yes, I hear from him. I talk to him all the time.
I love.
Yeah.
Well, I got to tell you one Pawpaw story.
Okay, tell me a Pawpaw
So,
story.
back in 1978, in East End Hospital, which is now the present Lovelady Center location, he actually died in that hospital, and he had been in intensive care for 18 days. But before he died, he says, "God, if you're real, I'll live for you." And he was about 50 years old. And I was a little boy. I was only 7. And so I didn't know about it, but he told me the story that he actually left his body, went to heaven, saw Jesus. He says, Jesus is the most beautiful man that you'll ever see. And he says, it's like liquid love that comes off of him. And he said, as he stood there, amazed, he said, Jesus says, I've heard your mother's prayers, and I'm sending you back into your body to live your life. And so the Lord granted his prayer and his mother's prayers, and then he lived for the Lord every day since then. But that building, that miracle took place, was the beginning of salvation for my whole family, because my mom and my dad weren't saved, and I was lost. And so Pawpaw left from that hospital and came to see me a few months later, and he told me about Jesus, and I received Jesus after that. So the center itself is a special place, because it's that old hospital that now is still.
Don't call it that old hospital.
It was.
It's
but
my beautiful, beautiful castle.
I can't. When you started this place, that place was empty. It was out of business, and nothing was there, and you walked right in there with your few ladies, and
It was so funny when I first walked in there. It was. I had to bang on the door to get the guard to the door, and he was guarding it for St. Vincent's East. And this is the most wonderful story in the world. You're making me go back in history.
I
aren't
love
you?
this.
I know you do. His goal is for us to have the podcast, and he's the one that got me on here, and he's the one that forces me to write books. Lestley is a thorn in my side. But anyway, so
this story has to be heard.
I finally got him, and I came into the hospital, and I didn't see it how it was. I saw it how it is now.
Really?
I saw the floors. I saw it like it is now, and rats were running around, and I was like, your life is going to be over. You're not going to be in my place. And so I got my husband, and I said, I want to buy that old hospital. He said, do what? He said, what are you going to do with it? Well, of course, I'd been in an argument with the city, and they were making me move my ladies. If y'all want to know details, get my book, Miss Brenda and the Love Ladies. I don't have one here, but you'll get all the sordid details. It's horrible. The city was just tearing me apart, but we love them now.
Yes, they're our friends now.
They're our friends. They're our friends. They help me. So, good friends. So, I took I met an old pastor that day. I thought that churches were going to be in line wanting a piece of this.
What God was doing.
What
Yeah.
God was doing.
Yeah.
They were going to be fighting over helping me do what God was doing. And
They
so
couldn't
I
see
got my
what you
vision
saw.
and so I had a pastor for one of the big churches, man. And I thought, they're going to want the whole thing, but I'm going to let them have it, and I'll just work here. And he came in, and I was climbing over the desk, and a rat scurried by, and I was like, I'm trying to make a presentation here, get away. And so I told him how great it was going to be. And I was on top of a desk. I was still very flexible, so I was on top of the desk. And I looked back, and he was running down the hall.
He was leaving, huh?
He was leaving. I said, where are you going? He said, I'm going back home. I said, why are you leaving? I haven't shown you everything. And he said, you know, Brenda, I've heard you're crazy, and now I know. He said, I do not want any part of this. You have lost your mind.
Borderline insanity.
But you know what? Now that church is so good to me.
Yeah, they are.
Yeah, so I'm
But
not,
you know, you've been a pioneer, and that's the thing is, with a pioneer, a lot of times you have to walk some of those roads alone before people will come and join you. And it's just, it's a grace that God put in you, and it's a desire He put in your heart. And, you know, I'm so grateful. My life has forever been impacted. You know, my family's been helped personally. I just had a first cousin that just got through the program.
she was in my office the other day, and she was talking to me, and she was giving me this testimony. It was so good. I said, what is your name? And she told me, she said, Lestley is my cousin. I said, oh, wow.
I know. I mean, it's amazing. She's out. She's on her own. She's doing great. And it was just another miracle that I got to experience from what the Love Lady Center offers to so many families, because addiction is just it's so prevalent today, and so many people have just lost hope and lost sight. And, you know, when we get to point people back to Jesus and give them hope and then give them some tools to work with, you know, the whole idea of having a whole way house has really continued to just happen. And the Love Lady Centers continue to improve over these last 20 years. You know, your family has been so supportive and have joined you in the cause, and Melinda's doing a great job, and Bo's there doing a great job, and so many others. Joseph, I could go on and on, but I mean, you had a vision, and then that vision made room for all of us to have vision to walk in. And what I love about your leadership is that, you know, you've given us room to be ourselves. You know, inside of your vision and inside of your oversight, you've been able to guide people into their destiny.
One of the things that I tell my kids and grandchildren and anybody else in my family that works there, this is the rule. You be there first, you work the hardest, and you leave last.
Yes.
Everybody will be thinking that you got this because of me.
A free ride.
And I don't want anybody to ever think that. And so it's been, I'm so proud of them, and I'm so proud. We've got, how many hundreds of employees now?
Hundreds. Between the two thrift stores and at the center. It's a huge operation.
And how many volunteers do we have? Do you know?
Thousands. I mean, thousands of.
You talk about talking, it takes a village. It takes a village for the Love Lady Center. And we have so many wonderful, wonderful people who volunteer at the.
Yeah,
I mean, I can't even fathom how great they are, and they're there. And some of them's been working with us for years and years.
Yeah. We have some precious volunteers and great ministries, and it really it really creates a, what I feel like it really gives you a picture of what it looks like to be the body of Christ at work. And we've seen a lot of different people around the city come and be a part of it. And it's given us, it's unity. And for the ladies who come to the center, which a lot of people don't realize that, it's not just girls from Birmingham. We have girls from all over the Southeast that are brought there by their families or court ordered. And obviously people are beginning to hear more and more about it. And we've had, not too long ago, we had somebody from California, somebody from New York. They're coming from different places to get help. And, it's just, they get to see, the church be the church. And that's one of the great things, as being a pastor there and this being able to invite these different ministries and be there with them to see them love on the ladies. It's just, it really is rare. You just don't see that every day, but it is so wonderful. I know Jesus has got to be proud when we work together.
That's how it's supposed to be.
And
it is supposed to be. And that way nobody gets the glory but him. And that's who. Without him, none of this would be there. We had, talking about the hospital, when I first asked Jeff to get the contract, I called the hospital and asked them, why don't you just give me the building? They declined my offer and told me exactly what I didn't want to hear about myself. And it wasn't but a few months ago that it was time for us to do negotiations about it, and they gave it to us.
After all these years.
I'm so excited. I wanted to, they were giving me the deed, and we were taking pictures and all. And I was thinking about, oh my goodness, God, you're so wonderful. Thank you, thank you, thank you. But we had a lady that came to us out of jail, and they sent her to us because she hadn't gotten any medical treatment in jail. I won't talk about the jails or DOC right now. Even though I work with them all and I love the people, there's a lot to be desired with Alabama.
Yes.
I'll put this little shoot in. Alabama prisons are some of the most violent in the nation. I can't even tell you what's going on, but that's for another day. So what's happening, she came and they put her in, they sent her to the center to die. And she came in, I don't know, you were there then.
Yeah.
Because it hadn't been that many years ago.
I know.
So anyway, when she came in, she said, I was born in this hospital.
Yep.
And so then a couple of months later, and not because she was dying, but because it really happened, she had a major salvation experience. So she was born again in that hospital.
Yes.
And then I was with her, and she left. She passed away right there in that hospital.
I remember that.
Born twice and died once, and lived right on.
Amen. That's so amazing.
And so that has happened more than once. I like the idea. Is that not wonderful? You can be born, and passed on to Jesus all in one place.
It is. It's happened so many times there. And that's what, when I was thinking about what we got to do yesterday in service.
What?
Remember we got to baptize.
Oh, yeah, I was there. I did.
Yes, you were there. And we were one after another. I mean, we baptized for like 30, 40 minutes. And then I looked across, I said, have we even started yet? Because look at this line. It was still all the way down the hallway. And girls were coming in there weeping in tears. You know, I mean, you gave a great message about being set free and all these chains coming off of them. And so it's just amazing how the Lord still is moving on hearts, changing lives. And we were right there to be witnesses of it. Obviously, you know, with you and Melinda right there, you know, baptizing them. I'm right there with you. I just love having a front row seat to see what God's doing.
Well, you help.
Every day. I know.
You bring every one of them in. And
it's amazing. We're working it together. And
yeah,
I've just,
this isn't about.
But it reminds me of that dream.
I just won't relinquish.
I know, but remember the dream you had.
Part.
No, remember the dream you had.
Oh, I'll never forget it.
And
I was so dumb. I dreamed one night, and I wrote it down. And what I dreamed is that I was having a baby, and the doctors were dressed in white, and I knew I thought when I woke up that was God and Jesus, and He kept handing the babies to Jesus, and He was saying, "Another girl, it's a girl. Another girl, it's a girl. It's a girl." I was so dumb. I thought I was going to build some big company and only hire women. Never did
so
I
that
dream.
was a long, long time ago. Before you had that dream, before the Love Lady Center even started.
I hadn't thought about the Love Lady Center.
Oh my gosh!
I was still all into making money. I thought, I'm just going to have to hire women, I guess. It's a girl. It's a girl. And now I know.
And you know,
now I know why I was in birth pains with every girl. You know, but that was so good. Wasn't it?
It was, and I just you know, every now and then I'll after you raise up another girl out of the water, I'll say it's a girl. It's a girl.
So many.
Thank the Lord.
Our first baptism service in the building is years ago.
Yes.
I had bought a church, a baptistry, portable one.
Okay.
The one we have.
Right.
So it was time for me to baptize, and I had no way of baptizing. And so I thought, So I called him and asked him, could we borrow it? He said, oh, yeah, you can have it. We're not. And he gave it back to me.
He did.
Because I couldn't have afforded one then, and I had just bought it and given it to him.
Oh, wow.
And he gave it back to me.
Oh, wow.
And so, but we didn't get the steps when we went to pick it up.
Okay.
I didn't think about the steps.
Oh, no. So
we were going to baptize, and it was cold and dreary that night, and I thought, I was right. I didn't really want to baptize, and it was only about 5 women. I thought, we'll do it another time. Never put it off again. So I was going to put it off, and a girl said, but my mom and daddy's coming, Miss Brenda. I said, okay, no problem, we'll do it. Well, that's when I realized we didn't have the steps, and I couldn't get them. That was the main reason. I thought we better put it off. But no, they're going to climb in there. So we put chairs there. And,
oh, goodness.
Built one of Brenda's ladders. I mean, it was not good. And so she gets in there. We filled it too full. Well, I didn't know how to do that either.
Oh, no.
And so when they sat down,
the
water comes out. And I mean, it went all over me and Melinda. Melinda's looking at me like, and then when you put them in the water, it flashes out again. And I was like,
oh, my goodness.
Soaking wet. You know, nobody, these stories are real. This is really how.
You can't make it up.
I was just so determined to do what God said. So I thought, well, this is finally over. I said, okay. And somehow the whole experience was getting I was kind of liking it because I could feel God's power in it.
Yeah.
So I kind of forgot about being cold and wet and starving and all those uncomfortable things. But it was over. So I said, Okay, that's all for tonight, girls, unless there's somebody else that you've been putting off this.
Oh
In the
no.
back of the room, I heard this woman start singing. I'm not going to sing, so y'all can forget that. But she started singing, I've decided to follow Jesus. A cappella, and I didn't know who it was, and it was coming through there, and I was like, it's one of those, all the hair stand up on your arms, and I was like,
Wow.
so she comes forward, and I baptize her, and I look, and there's a humongous line behind her.
Oh my goodness. And this was the first
one.
The first one.
At the center.
That's the first time I've ever heard this story. That's amazing.
Well, I wasn't real proud of
No steps.
no step. Went and got the stairs the next day.
Yeah.
Now we got stairs in and down.
Yes.
But I didn't have them then.
Those are some amazing moments.
And that's why people say, Brenda, we need to get another baptistry. I said, no, this one's good.
This one's fine.
We just put more.
We just know not to overfill it now.
I know exactly where to fill it to. I know everything about it. But I don't want another one. People always say, well, we could afford a prettier one. I said, no.
This is nice.
No, we want this one. I mean, after I'm gone, y'all can get a new one if you want. But that one, I would not touch it.
Yes.
I would not be the one to throw that one out.
Miss Brenda, since I'm here on your show today, one of the things that that I really wanted to ask you was, whenever God puts something on your heart, have you always been the person that just steps out in faith and tries something big? Because that's one thing that I've really admired is just you're taking those risks or those steps out in faith.
Not somewhat, but not like when I was 11 years old. I was I must have been about 10. I was always like the person in the neighborhood that would get all the kids rallied up or something. And every Sunday, that big old yellow bus would come by, and it'd be empty, clinging down the road. And so I told my daddy, I said, I'm going to get on that bus next time and see what's going on. He said, well, it's a Sunday school bus. I said, well, because we had moved around, and my mother and daddy had been raised in church.
Right.
But they weren't tight with the Lord.
Right.
And so I get on that big clanging bus, and I'm all by myself, and I'm waving to all the kids. I'm all excited to be on that bus. And every week, he'd come, and every week I'd have more and more on that bus till I ended up filling up the bus. I just have a thing for, if it's about God, I want everybody to share. The night I got saved, I'll never forget it. I thought, the same God that flung the stars in the sky is the one that created me. And I was so excited about it. I went home and got my mother and daddy up out of bed. And those poor people, I would not let them go to sleep till I was assured they had given their hearts to Jesus and had a salvation experience right there in our living room. I led my mother and daddy both to the Lord. Aww. Later on, when I was about 16, and my daddy was a deacon, a Baptist deacon, and was so strict on me, I think, what have I done?
It's backfired on you now.
Backfired, boy, But listen, we're almost done, and I've got to have you to tell me what it is, in 20 tears or less, what it is about the sinner that makes you want to come to work every day.
That's a good question, Miss Brenda. From the moment that that I met you in the hall, as I was walking out, and you basically you said, "Hey, would you consider coming here?" I remember that day, and you didn't know what was going on in the backdrop of my life, but you just have a knack to get people involved in you can see things in people, and I've always appreciated that.
I do not do that flippantly. If I don't hear from God,
I know.
you know, come.
Of course. And so, you know, the thing that, you know, my mom and my dad both struggle with addiction, and it caused my family to fall apart into a lot of broken pieces. And, you know, as a little child growing up, I felt I didn't know how to explain it. I didn't know what to say other than there was just something missing, and I didn't know really understand addiction and all of that came with it as it affects families. And then when I came to know Jesus, I still didn't know that I had a calling on my life to help people like my mom and my dad. And even my sister, you know, she struggled with it. And so when I go to work every day, I see my mother in those women. I see my sister in those women. I see my dad. You know, my dad struggled with alcohol most of his adult life, and tried to get him in and out of treatment. And then my mom coming to the Love Lady Center. I feel called because I know Jesus is bigger and that he can put families back together. And I have seen some of those little kids run up into their mother's arms after their mother comes back to her senses and finds out her purpose. That to me brings so much joy in my life, in my heart. And so that's why I go to work.
Well, I go to work for that too.
I know.
But we're through for today. I just love having you.
Thank you so much, Miss Brenda.